Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really profound teaching from one of the great sages of our time. We're going to unpack this sacred duty of preserving the very sound of the cosmos itself.
So our guide for this is the incredible sage Kanchi Mahaperiyava. His teachings, compiled in Devatan Choral, are just timeless. And he has this amazing way of taking a topic that seems really ancient and showing you why it's so important right here, right now.
And he kicks things off with a super practical question, one that I'm sure has crossed many of our minds. In a world that's all about visible results and tangible work, what's the point of someone dedicating their entire life to just preserving ancient sounds? Right. It's pretty obvious what a farmer does for us. They give us food. A weaver gives us clothes. We can see and touch their contribution. But then you have the Vedic Brahmin, whose job is to chant and preserve these ancient sounds. And you're left at the big question mark. What is their tangible contribution? Well, to get to the answer, we first have to really wrap our heads around what the Vedas are. And trust me, it's probably not what you think. See, this is where it gets really mind-blowing. The Vedas weren't written by people in the way we think of books. They're described as eternal, cosmic sounds, the fundamental vibrations of the universe itself that were perceived or heard by enlightened sages, the rishis, when they were in these super deep states of meditation. And this one quote just nails it. The rishis were mantra drashtas. They were seers of the mantra. They weren't mantrakartas, the makers of the mantra. They didn't invent this stuff. They were more like cosmic discoverers who found it. Okay, so this brings us to the very nature of sound itself. And this is where things get really cool, because this ancient wisdom starts to sound a lot like modern physics. At the most fundamental level, everything in existence comes from vibration. The whole universe is constantly moving, constantly vibrating. And every single vibration produces a sound, even if it's way outside the range of what our human ears can pick up. The cosmos is basically a symphony. So you can see how it all connects. You start with the constant vibration of the cosmos. Those vibrations are the sacred sounds we call Vedic mantras. But here's the kicker, the final step, manifestation. The idea is that chanting these sounds with perfect precision can actually influence our physical world, bringing about well-being, peace, and even things like rain. Okay, but I know what you're thinking. How on earth can one person chanting in one little spot have an effect on the whole planet? Well, the answer lies in this absolutely beautiful concept. It's a principle called andam pindam, and what it means, simply, is that the macrocosm is perfectly reflected in the microcosm. Everything that exists out there in the vast cosmos also exists right here inside each of us. We're not just in the universe, we are a miniature universe. And that leads to this perfect analogy. Think of a Vedic chanter as a finely tuned radio. Through years of discipline, they tune their own body and mind to be able to pick up these incredibly subtle cosmic frequencies. And then they broadcast them back out as powerful, harmonious sound vibrations that benefit all of humanity. So, once you start thinking of it like that, as someone acting as a cosmic broadcast tower for the good of the world, it becomes totally clear why this isn't some part-time gig. It's a full-time, highly specialized, sacred duty. And the dedication it requires is just immense. First off, it has to be learned by ear, passed down from teacher to student, never from a book. Why? To get the vibration exactly right. It requires perfect pronunciation and intonation, the swara, which takes a whole lifetime of focused discipline to master. Even the chanter's lifestyle is part of the practice, all to enhance the mantra's power. And it's all done as a service for the world. And that's exactly why the Vedas are called Shruti, which means that which is heard, or in classical Tamil, Eljuta Kalavi, the unwritten word. Their power, their very essence, is in the living sound, the vibration itself. That's something a printed page just can't capture. Mahaperiyava shares this really powerful story to warn about what happens when we lose these oral traditions. He talks about the old Panchankakaran, the village almanac maker. This person knew incredibly complex astronomical calculations entirely by heart. But as soon as printed books became common, that living skill just faded away. And the same danger exists for the Vedas. So this all builds up to the main point. This isn't about preserving some cultural artifact in a museum. This tradition is presented as a living, breathing necessity for the well-being of our world. So, when you look at it this way, Veda Rakshanam, the protection of the Vedas, is about so much more than religion. It's really a kind of spiritual technology, a profound, selfless duty performed to generate harmony and well-being for every single living being on this planet. And that kind of leaves us with the big question to think about, doesn't it? In our fast-paced world, a world that's so focused on what we can see and measure, how do we find a way to support and even revive a tradition that's dedicated to something as subtle and unseen as the harmony of the cosmos? Thank you so much for watching. Gyan Kosh is a multilingual channel where we share spiritual wisdom in English, Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, Gujarati, and Bengali, and we've got more major languages coming very soon. Our whole goal is to bring you the timeless treasures of Sanatan Dharma in a way that's simple, clear, and really meaningful. On our channel, you'll find daily videos on the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, Lalita Sahasranamam, Deva Thin Kural, the saints of Maharashtra, the saints of Bengal, and the story of the divine incarnation of Adi Sankara, and it's all available in multiple languages for you. If you find our content valuable, please subscribe to Gyan Kosh so you'll get notified about our daily videos. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and spread this divine knowledge with your family, your friends, and your community. Let's work together to keep the light of Sanatan Dharma shining bright.